want to welcome you to a new playlist I'm in the process of creating here. Some of you may have come across my YouTube channel through my Two Blondes on a Build playlist, and this is where my husband and I show you how we have been developing our home here on Salt Spring Island. Some of you may know already that in 2018 we bought 5 acres of land, which is mostly forest, on a rocky area at the southern end of Salt Spring Island next to the ecological reserve. And so since 2019 we've been creating a home here. We started by building a 10 by 10 foot tiny home and also a little outhouse, and then we've been gradually building our post and beam house. We're doing everything ourselves. So this playlist accompanies that in a way, because in it I would like to share with you the things that I'm learning while I try to establish a garden. Because the vision Brett and I had here was not only being able to build our own home that's off-grid and it's going to be powered by the sun and the wind, but we also would like to become more self-sufficient and being able to grow our own fruit and veg. I grew up in a little rural village in Middle England in Warwickshire, where it was quite common for families in the village to grow their own food in their own back gardens, or if they didn't have a garden, then on the local allotment. My dad was a very passionate and avid gardener, so he taught me quite a lot as I was growing up. And then I've kind of returned to that over the years. Even when I lived in a flat in London, in Battersea, although I had a small balcony, I was still keen to try and grow some food and also some flowers on it, which brought me immense joy. But here our property is mostly forest, so we don't want to interfere with that really, but we do have a clearing on top of the hill where we are building, so there is some room for me to put some raised beds and a greenhouse or two, and to also put in some fruit and nut trees. So I did begin a garden when we first bought our lot. These are the horse chestnuts that germinated from seed. I just potted them on yesterday. They seem to be flourishing here in the sunny spot. This is all exciting. I'm less excited about what's happening with my maples. They seem to be wilting, so I might have to move them into the shade. Some of them are still thriving, but others are a bit straggly. So what I intend to do with this series of videos is to share with you what I'm learning about establishing a garden here. So I'll try and pass on some top tips that maybe will help you if you're interested in becoming self-sufficient. So this is the first one, and in it I'm going to show you how I created a Hügelkultur bed, where I started to establish a little herb garden, and then also mixed in some vegetables with that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And over here, this looks a bit of a mess at the moment. I'm going to be clearing this out today and making this into a bed for herbs. I'm going to have a mini herb garden, and I'm going to use a method based on something called Hügelkultur. I think I'll have to leave this here because it's a bit too noisy. But wait a minute. What on earth is Hügelkultur? Hügelkultur originated in Europe, specifically Germany and Eastern Europe, and is thought to have been practiced for centuries, perhaps even thousands of years. It is likely that the knowledge was passed down from one generation to another through oral traditions, and this spread from one village to another throughout the countryside. It is now regarded as a popular and successful permaculture technique. Hügelkultur is a German word comprised of Hügel, meaning hill or mound, and culture, meaning, well, culture. Put them together and you have hill culture or mound culture. Like I said before, the technique is centuries old and has many advantages. Let us go through them. Number 1, it recycles garden waste. Number 2, increases surface area for planting. Number 3, it helps to retain moisture. Number 4, it provides lots of nutrients for plants. Number 5, it lengthens the growing season by releasing heat from the decaying organic matter. And number 6, once you've made it and you've planted it up, you do not have to dig. If you do everything right and then wait patiently, you will get bumper harvests. Well, step 1 of making my herb garden is I've got a bit of cleaning up to do. I'm going to clear out this area here, remove all of the plywood and bits of tin soffit, and then I'll be ready to start constructing the herb bed itself. I'll give you an update soon. Well there folks, as you can see, I've cleaned out this spot here that's going to be my herb garden. Step 2 is delineate your boundary. So my boundary for the bed is going to stretch from this stump over here across to this rock, and then if I step forward, and then we're going to use the end of this rocky outcrop here across to the end of this stump. So I'll have quite a nice size bed to plant all my herbs. Right, so that's step 2, delineating my boundary.
Step 3, power lifting.
Step 4, putting the retaining walls for the boundary in place. Great technique there, Captain. Awesome, thanks. Hello. Step 5. I've just put a thin layer of ash on the bottom of my Hügelkultur bed. Can you see that? I don't want too much, but it's a way of getting rid of it from the fire pit. And now for the next layer. So what am I doing here? This is step 6. What do I have? I have a shovel and I have a bucket. And what I'm doing is I'm going around the garden picking up brown matter. Brown matter, things like sawdust, decaying bark, twigs, wood shavings, branches, pine cones. This is the next layer of the bed, and I'm going to actually then put branches on top to give it the structure to the raised bed. It will be a mound. Hügel in German means hill. It's Hügelkultur method, and the branches and twigs will create the frame, which will decompose eventually, but you want it to decompose over a long period of time. So this gives it the structure of the hill, and the shape of the hill will also help to retain moisture as well as release nutrients into the soil that will feed the plants. It will also heat up gradually with the decomposition, and that will lengthen the growing season too. So I'll show you another picture when I've created the frame. Well everyone, it's day 2 of my project and I'm still on step 6, which is collecting brown matter for my lovely raised herb bed. At the moment I'm gathering up a lot of twigs and dry moss. I've already put a layer of brown matter down, the smaller stuff. And I forgot to mention that the another added advantage of doing this is I'm gathering up a lot of the dry material that could potentially be a fire hazard in the summer. A lot of these materials here are as dry as tinder already, and we're only in April. So it's good in a way that I can gather it all up and put it in the bed that will then get covered with green compost and soil. So it will provide nutrients for my plants, but also it takes it out of circulation where it could potentially be a fire hazard in the summer. I'll show you my progress a bit later on. Right, well, I've taken a bit of a break from the Hügelkultur bed. I'm still collecting twigs, as you can see. It's getting a bit hot now in the heat of the day, so I thought I'd take a break and do some planting instead. So over here I have just put in some strawberry seeds in this tray here, keeping my fingers crossed that they'll germinate. And then on this side, I'll just show you, do a close-up there. This is the first 8 seedlings of the northern red oak that have germinated. It's quite funny really, because I put 5 acorns in each juice bottle tub, thinking that I'll be lucky if I get 1 acorn out of each 5, and they're all kind of germinating right, left and centre. So this is only the first 8 that I've potted on, but there's plenty more, which is great. So I've given them a bit of space so that they're not directly competing with each other for nutrients. Just hope they don't have separation anxiety. More later. And this is what I'm working on today. I'm on step 8 now of the Hügelkultur bed. So what I'm doing is I'm sieving out some forest earth down by the parking pad near the well, and then I'm hauling it up bucket by bucket to cover the frame, which is made of the branches here, and the earth is also covering the compost and horse and donkey manure that was step 7. So that's my work today. It's going to take me a while. Everyone, good morning. I finally finished my Hügelkultur bed. I've just finished planting up the seeds and the herbs and things that I've got. So in this bed we've got rhubarb, peppercress, thyme, mint, rosemary, sage, parsley, curry plant, verbena, and the seeds I planted today are sweet corn, spaghetti squash and courgette, otherwise known as zucchini. So we'll see how it does, and I'm also going to plant in the coming days maybe some marigold seeds around the edge and nasturtiums, because they're very good. Well, the marigolds are good for deterring deer, and the nasturtiums attract pests away from the crop plants. So I'll let you know how we do. You can see that in just a few weeks the vegetables and herbs grew and flourished. Their growth was vigorous and healthy. And I was soon able to harvest a bumper crop. Anyone for zucchini? Anyone? If you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel by hitting the subscribe button below and the bell so that you get notifications whenever I upload a new story. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care and bye for now. Oh yes, and don't forget to subscribe.